to Making It Moments. Today's the first ever Making It podcast with two other guests. We've got Will and Lukas. They're going to come on today to talk about their peer mentoring program that they're doing with our psychology course, and then we're going to dive into the fashion show they did last Monday. So you've seen Will, but Lukas is also a good friend of mine. He's on our course, and we all have a good time at uni together. So to begin with, lads, just to introduce this mentoring program, what exactly is it?
So the peer mentoring program, it's actually only really limited to the psychology course at Northumbria, which is quite surprising to us at least. We think it's quite a useful tool. Essentially, it's a bunch of older students potentially, like obviously we're third year, there's a few second years, a few master's students, basically offering guidance, offering help to younger students who might need it, and maybe even ones that don't. It really is for anybody. You know, we can help with assignments, we can help with like timetabling things, like, you know, maybe you don't know where a certain room is, you know, you go to your peer mentor and you ask. Just little things that might be difficult in the uni experience, older people who are more experienced can help you with, and that's really what the mentoring scheme's about, and we think it's quite important, really.
Awesome. So how did you join it?
So the way you can join the student mentor program is essentially by contacting one of us. We have posters around the uni for, you know, you have QR codes, however you want to join. I think we also have Laura Clark. She's one of the professors who's supposed to be in charge of it, but maybe it's not the best way at the moment. I think she's on leave. So currently the best way would be just to contact one of us. I'm guessing you'll provide our emails and
it'll all be in the description.
And also we have that QR as well that you can use.
We've got a link in the Instagram as well to is the mentor match form out yet?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet, but very soon.
So this is something that you guys kind of took on from someone else, right? And you're kind of like trying to enlighten it. Yeah.
It's been going for a few years now. I think as we say, Laura Clark has been heading it for a while. But obviously she's got other stuff on. You know, she's very busy. She's a professor. I think she's head of the organizational psychology, or no, one of the master's courses. She's really heavily involved in. So she's got a lot on her plate. So she's trying to make it more student led, which is sort of what we're really trying to push. You know, we've been trying to sort of bulletproof it for the next lot who come in, because we're going to graduate this year. We're not going to be here for that transition. So, for example, I've made some guidebooks, some handbooks that will be handed out to the mentors for next year, basically explaining what you're supposed to do. Stuff we're going to talk about in this podcast as well. You know, this podcast is another way of us trying to get the word out and increase the sort of general awareness of the project for the future.
So, if you were a mentor in this program, Lukas, what would your role be? And then, Will, if you could tell us what your role as a mentee would be.
Yeah, sure. So as a mentor, essentially you'll be matched up with a student. So that could be, you know, as Will said, a student who's struggling, or even a student who just wants to excel in what they're doing. Because as we said, it's for anyone. So if you are someone who wants to just improve upon an already great grade, that's great. So you'd be matched with a mentor who is usually about, you know, you're a year older than you in terms of their university career. And a mentor, all they're doing is providing any support regarding the questions that the mentee might have. Obviously, one thing we stress about the program is that you're not supposed to just, you know, paste your essay and say, you know, what do I do? How can I improve this? You know, the mentors aren't ChatGPT. We are, you know, just give us very specific questions, and we can, I mean, that's one of the USPs, I think, of the program, is that we can actually provide you with feedback on your actual final piece of writing, unlike professors who aren't allowed to look at that. So yeah, essentially there is no one specific role of a mentor, but it is by and large just to help with any questions they might have about their work, about, I think we said social life as well. It's really a very holistic approach rather than just academics or just, you know, anything else.
Yeah. And then I suppose from a mentee's perspective, one of the biggest things that we've tried to push with these like advancements is making it seem more accessible, because it might be quite intimidating as, say, a first year student or even a second year, third year, trying to reach out for help. I know people struggle with that a lot. I know I sometimes outright refuse to, look for help until someone like forces me to have it. So what we've tried to do is with the matching. So as a mentee, at the minute or previously, it would have been you have to directly reach out to Laura or to one of the coordinators, which would be us two, and Ollie Wilkinson. But what we're trying to do, as I mentioned with the Instagram, there's a little QR code in there, or there will be. You scan it, it takes you to a Qualtrics survey, and then you basically put in what you're struggling with. So say I'm a second year student and I'm doing the sports light module. I'm really, really struggling with, what area do I pick to write my essay on, to write my final piece on. I can put that in, and then, there'll be a third year student who did that last year, who maybe did that same topic in that module, who can then get matched with you. Then they'll reach out to you. The mentor will reach out to the mentee, in a very friendly way. Everyone's really nice. Like we've had meetings with all the mentors. Like they're all really, really nice people, and they can then sort of take it forward from that, really. So as a mentee, definitely trying to be active. You've got to get involved somehow. No one's going to force you to do it. And then once you're matched with someone as well, it's about almost not wasting their time is one thing I'd say, because just asking questions for the sake of it isn't going to help anybody. The mentors will help you with anything, to a certain level, but I think actually really thinking about what your questions are going to be and being proactive in seeking this help is the biggest part of it being a mentee, I think.
So you both have touched on benefits already, but and you mentioned one of the main selling points, but what would you say are the main benefits of this program, Lucas?
Yeah, well, as I said, I think the thing I always say whenever I go into these, I try and spread the word of the mentor program a little bit like the word of Jesus. Essentially,
really similar, actually.
Yeah, it's super similar. Essentially, I think if I was someone trying to get onto the program, as a mentee, I think the main thing that would draw me in was the fact that I can have these people who have completed the exact same assessment that I've done, and they can look at my work and tell me what's good and what's bad. It's something that the professors just can't do. And I think if that doesn't draw someone in, I think that I have a feeling you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped, right? And essentially that is just, free help. That is great help, and so that would be the sort of main USP for me. I think obviously you also have the other benefits, the social benefits. If you are someone who maybe wants to, understand a little bit more about socializing at uni and maybe the best ways to do that, a lot of the mentors will be able to help with that, given that their experience throughout the years. But that to me is the main benefit. I don't know if you can think of any more.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, really, Lucas. Definitely a case of, I'm writing this assessment, I find it difficult. I'm just going to ask someone who's done it before. This mentor got an 85 on this assessment. What am I doing wrong? How can I get that? But I think benefits for the mentees, definitely that. Benefits for the mentors might be something a bit sort of murkier. Like why should I sign up to be a mentor and put my time into this program? And I think the answer to that is quite simple, really. It's you get the recognition. So it's a great thing. I know it's a bit of a joke, but to put it on the LinkedIn. Do you know what I mean?
Can I jump in there as well?
Of course.
You're right, absolutely. You can obviously whack it on your LinkedIn. Yeah. But the other thing is the fact that you are a mentor does go onto your university transcript. So that is something that employers will be able to see on your university transcript. And, obviously it might not be extensive in what it says that you've done as a mentor, but that might be something that the employer goes, oh, what was that about? What did you do? And then you can, discuss what you did. And if you did a lot, then you have a lot to talk about. And on top of that, you can have other, like Laura will vouch for you. If you've done a lot, she will, you can put her down as a reference, and in the employer calls her up, and she'll tell them all about what you did. So it really is, I know it's such a cliche, but it is, the more you put in, the more you get out, right? Yeah. So
that was something that we really pushed for as well, getting it on your academic transcript. I don't think it was like that before this year, or maybe it was just sort of coming into place. But we've really quite pushed for that, and we're going to keep pushing for that. We're going to try and get more and more benefits for being a mentor. Even just like the sort of community of it as well. You know, you get to meet new people. Like, you know, what's not to love about that?
Absolutely. And I mean, last year we we had a really funny incident. Actually, we tried spreading the awareness of the program by luring more students in using free pizza, right? We had these drop-in sessions, and I can't lie, I think I was one of the 2 people who showed up, and it just ended up me and someone like some other mentor with a room full of pizza, and we just got to take it all home.
Not bad, that.
No, if you look at it that way, it's pretty, a lot of benefits.
So what is not to be expected from this program?
Is that from a mentor's perspective or a mentee's perspective? Sorry.
Just either one. What's not to be expected?
Well,
what's something that maybe a mentee or a mentor will come to this program expecting?
As I said, a mentee might expect that a mentor will know everything, will be able to just help with any questions they ask, and has unlimited time. It's not true. You know, the mentors are very busy. I mean, you know, Will and I are mentors, and I know for a fact that we're very busy. So we don't have all the time in the world just to, you know, answer every question, as I said, like ChatGPT would. So we are limited in our resources. So ultimately, the mentees need to sort of taper their expectations to that and understand that they need to come in with very specific questions, you know, concise, and not a shit ton of questions.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, mentors aren't expected to, you know, risk life and limb and, like, you know, give so much advice and help to your mentees that it's then a detriment to your own self. Say you get matched. Say you've got a really popular interest. You know, say sports psych, once again for an example, is a really popular one. Loads of people are struggling with it this year. Lots of people get matched with you as a mentor. You can just message one of us, message Laura, and say, right, this is a bit much. You know, I'm in my 3rd year now. I really want to focus on my own studies. I like helping these people, and they're all really nice, but maybe if we can just drop it down to 1 or 2, and then that will be completely respected. Like, when it's not a case of you've been given this, you have to do this. Obviously, there are certain things that we will expect, like, you know, proper code of conduct, like, you know, speak to people like professionally and check in on your mentees from time to time. Literally just drop them an email. I know personally I've had some mentees that maybe they signed up for the project, they thought they'd need some help, and they haven't. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I'll drop them a message maybe once every 2 or 3 months, and that's pretty much the extent to which I'm actually helping them. And it's just sort of letting them know that there is that help there if they need it. But yeah, definitely not reading through someone's entire paper, rewriting a paper for somebody, more so just pushing them in the right direction of, right, you're struggling with A, you can do X sort of thing, instead of doing that for them.
Yeah, and as you said, sort of guiding them, right? Because as 3rd-year students, we've used all these like new tools that we thought were going to be great, and we know which ones are not great, and we know which ones are great. So I think that experience has given us a lot of insight into, you know, being able to provide mentees with certain tools. You know, I know a lot of like paper, like looking for papers is really challenging. So what's the best tool for that? Referencing, what's the best tool for that? So, you know, we a lot of the mentors will have a lot of insight, and I imagine different mentors will have different tools that they use. And so that's kind of the beauty of it, because we have such a variety of people doing, you know, quantitative, qualitative. It's all, you know, it's all there for grabs, really.
So when it comes to the resources, I know you've already touched on quite a lot of them, but what are the resources are there any other resources that you haven't mentioned, or what particularly are those resources, if you had to describe them, that come with the mentor program? And if someone was to come, not just to do with the actual uni side of things in terms of the work, but they wanted to socialise, how could you help them do that? So what resources are there, and how would you help a mentee socialise?
Yeah, so in terms of resources, at the minute or previously, it has just pretty much been the mentors. You know, it's just been, you get matched with somebody, you have to ask them, you have to reach out for the help. What we're really trying to do, coming on today, is we're trying to have some other forms of content. So we're going to really try and push the Instagram. I feel like it's a much more accessible way of doing it. You can ask questions anonymously on the Instagram. It's not as intimidating as actually meeting someone face to face and admitting like, right, I need help. And we're trying to, post regular questions on the Instagram. We're going to post Q&As, things like that. So there will be that resource as well. If anyone's struggling with anything, have a look on the Instagram, see if it's been asked before. Similarly to like the discussion boards on Blackboard, right? If you've got a question, you whack it on the discussion board and then other people can see it. And it's essentially just that, but maybe more tailored towards advice from someone who's actually writing the assignment rather than someone who's grading it.
And not just that, I mean, it's advice that we can give that the professors can't. I mean, you see on discussion boards, I'm sure, if you're a student at Northumbria, you'll know this, that they often will tell you that they can't, say too much or, whatever. We have none of those limitations, so we can quite
almost
happily,
like unlimited access.
essentially, we can quite happily tell you, the only difference is, of course, we're not professors, so we aren't, all knowing, but definitely we can say things that the professors can't in terms of, what we did maybe in previous years, and what other people have done. So yeah, I mean, I think we see it as sort of becoming quite a hub for students to discuss ideas and basically just try and help each other, because uni is not a zero-sum game. Everyone can get a first. It's not just because someone gets a first doesn't mean someone else can't. So at the end of the day, there's no harm in helping everyone.
Brilliant. So I feel like you've described a lot about what the mentor program is. Before we move on to the fashion show, is there anything else you'd like to speak about it, or is that everything cleared?
Once again, I just really like to emphasise how big of a tool I think it really is, and I think that we both believe it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously still a work in progress. We are just 3 uni students trying to, help other people out. So if anybody else does have if anyone wants to become a mentor, first of all, feel free to get in touch. I'm sure all the information will be down below. And if anyone's got any ideas for what we could maybe do, as you say, to create some more resources, or offer a different kind of support, maybe on the more social side of things, because that is something that we've considered, but we've not really put any actionable sort of steps in yet for that.
Yeah, I also think we haven't really talked about who the mentors are. So the current lot are all selected by professors. So these aren't just people who signed up. These are actually people who was like handpicked by professors because they did really well in a certain piece of work. So that's that. And also, I think what's important to note is when it comes to being matched with a mentor, you have a lot of options. So the matching form, we haven't really talked too much about it, but it essentially is asking you to describe your needs, what things you're struggling with, and maybe any other sort of things that you might want to mention. And that the point of that is so that we can basically match you with the most appropriate mentor, because certain mentors have certain strengths. Obviously, we all have our weaknesses, and so that is the point. We have lots of mentors with lots of different strengths. So if you think you have a very unique problem, I promise you that you will be able to find a mentor that has faced that same similar, or if not the same problem.
Yeah, so if you want to sign up to this mentor program, either as a mentor or a mentee, give these boys a shout. All the information will be in the description below. But now moving on to the fashion show. So I was at this fashion show last Monday, and it's a very exciting thing to sign up for, but also a very nerve-wracking thing to sign up for. So I guess I want to ask the both of you, either one of you can go first. Like, why did you sign up to it, and what was the experience on the day like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I, to be honest with you, I think the best person for this would be Will, because he's the one who sort of encouraged me to sign up.
Yeah, I was roping these boys into it. Well, so obviously I was on the podcast a few weeks ago. I mentioned my girlfriend went to Durham, and they have quite a big culture down there of doing fashion shows. There's the UCFS, like the massive, like the biggest one in Europe or something. They've got the college ones, the sport ones, all that. And I remember I went down to one of them, and I just thought it was really cool. Like it was a really well put together event, all done by students. I thought, wow, this is something that I'd really like to get involved in. And then, just so happens, I see NUFS, run by actually the president of the society was actually on our course.
Yeah, in our year.
Yeah. She's in my organisational psych, actually. And I knew her personally, so I was like, you know what? Can't hurt, I'll reach out and see if I could get involved. Because obviously Josie was also, my girlfriend, encouraging me to do it, because she thought it would be really fun, and it was. And then obviously I was thinking, right, I don't want to do this by myself, so I'm going to rope in Lucas.
Yeah.
And then we ended up roping in our other housemate Marcus too. So it became a bit of a house affair.
Well, it's funny because we didn't really rope him in because you guys went to the social. Cause
I brought him on a social,
so
yeah.
You brought him to the social, and then they just took a liking to him.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy just networks into anything.
Oh yeah.
Are you not going to talk about the controversy with the Newcastle fashion
Oh,
show?
big controversy, yeah. Well, I thought, right, I might not get the Northumbria one. You know, what a silly thing to think, but I thought I might not get it, so I'll apply for the Northumbria and the Newcastle one. I maintained throughout this entire thing I wanted to do the Northumbria one more than the Newcastle one
for legal reasons. He maintains that.
Yeah. More for ethical reasons, really. But anyway, so I applied for the Newcastle one, got accepted onto that one, and then did like a photo shoot and everything. Did like a little interview. I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere. But then I realised actually it wasn't for charity. I can't remember. I waffled.
You said Nike.
I said Nike actually. No, yeah, that wasn't a good.
Yeah.
I was a bit on edge. It was very professional, so I was like, ooh.
Yeah, high stakes.
Yeah. But then, as I say, I reached out to Maya, and then she was like, yeah, you can do this one if you don't do the Newcastle one. And I was like, yeah, fair.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to complain about that. And it was a really good time. I'm sure you agree. I'm sure Marcus would agree. Genuinely great event.
Mm-hmm.
All in really good in really good effort for charity as well. For Let's Get Our Knickers in a Twist and Oddballs, both fantastic causes. I know, I mean, everyone needs to be worried about that sort of thing. Like it's something that affects men and women, obviously individually. And I think it's just a great opportunity to have a bit of fun, raise a bit of money for charity, and push ourselves beyond our limits. And that they were the reasons that I really wanted to do it.
When I want to ask you, Lucas, because I know you said to me, I asked you in the week like how you're feeling about it, and you were like, I'm not gonna know until I get there and I'm on the stage. And I was there watching it. And it was great. And when you first came on the stage, I was wondering how you were feeling.
Yeah.
Like, how was that first step onto the stage, and how was that atmosphere for you?
Yeah, it was funny.
It was sobering, by the way, really sobering.
Yeah. Well, we definitely had a few drinks beforehand, so that definitely helped. No, I mean for me, it's quite funny because I remember stepping out and it wasn't too bad. Like I remember going, okay, I'm good, because actually what you guys didn't see was we were backstage for ages. I mean, we thought we were going out in like a couple minutes, and we ended up being backstage for 20 minutes. So the adrenaline hit, and I was up and it just nothing happened. So my adrenaline crashed. So I just got really tired. So I was super tired when I got up there, like really exhausted. So marched up and I was all good, and then I realised I had to pose at the front, and I completely didn't know what I was going to do. I just had, even in rehearsals I just improvised every time at that particular point. So I felt very awkward. I just sort of smiled and did a little turn, and I had no idea what I was doing, and so that was really, really funny. Yeah, I definitely felt awkward the first one. Which is strange because I felt much more confident in my swimwear, which is pretty counterintuitive. But yeah, it was definitely felt a lot of nerves at the start, but then adrenaline crashed, so I actually wasn't too nervous. I was just tired.
So what do you feel like you boys can take away from that experience now?
To be honest, in my opinion, friends that we're going to keep in contact with, like everyone that we did that with was fantastic. The group of people,
like sort of nerves
amazing.
And fear is a really good bond, almost a glue, I would say, like a social glue. You know, it just, when you're all like in it together, it definitely makes you, I think, it just makes you be friends with people much quicker. It's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah. But everyone was so lovely. All the committee, hands down, fantastic. All the lads that we did, as you say, the swimwear one. Actually, I've been replaying that in my head for so long now. I really enjoyed doing that one. It was so fun. Like
dreaming about himself in swimwear.
Not quite.
Look in the mirror. He still wears them.
He's got
wishing I still had the fake tan on. That's what.
He's ready whenever.
But yeah, like all the guys that we did that one with, it was really fun because we were really involved in the process of actually like what the walk was. You know, that there was a lot of direction from the committee, but we were also given free rein essentially to do our own little poses at the front. So it was working together in like pairs or trios and things, and it was really good fun. And I honestly do think I'd recommend that to anybody. Like that whole experience was so fun. One of the best weekends of my life, I think. Like it was just such a unique experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good crack.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, what did I take away from it? I think, you know, one thing I've thought a lot about was that I'm doing this sort of undergrad conference talk, and you know about it. So I'm meant to be talking in front of a bunch of professors, and I thought, you know what, if I can go out in front of like, I don't know how many people were there, but it felt like a lot.
500, 600?
Yeah, if I can go out in front of 600 people in my underwear and so I think I'll be alright in front of like 50 professors.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's definitely, I think it's just sort of one of those things that I think for me it was like, if I can do this, then I can do that. You know, kind of thing.
That's a great way to view it. And just coming towards the end of this podcast, I just wanted to ask one last question. And obviously we touched on it with you, Will, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, but how are you both now feeling coming towards the end of your final year at Northumbria? And how actually was it that you two met? Because I feel like you two have been on a journey together at uni.
Yeah. Well, same course really. And then
same personal tutor group.
Yeah, same personal tutor group. I put my hand up, said, "Oh, I play rugby." I haven't played rugby in the last 3 years, but put my hand up, said I played rugby. This guy and our other housemate Braden, both were like, well, they didn't say anything during the actual meeting, but they came up to me afterwards and were like, "Oh, are you gonna go to the trials or whatever?" So then we went to the trials and stuff. Just kept in contact. Same halls in first year as well, so we were in the same sort of area. Used to walk to and from lectures together and stuff, and just sort of got stuck with each other really, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember. Yeah, I remember coming up to you afterwards and pretending like I still played rugby. I just hadn't played in years. But it was just sort of my way in, because I don't think I had a few people who came up from my hometown to Newcastle, but not on the same course, barring like Amber and Imi. So yeah, definitely that was the way we met. And then what was your other question?
How are you feeling now coming towards the end of your final year?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, in terms of my dissertation, or in terms
in terms of your undergrad finishing and life moving on from that step.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely. I don't think it's sane really, but I'm definitely quite
same with the fashion show. When it gets to there, you'll know how it feels. Yeah.
I'm pretty. When I think about it enough, of course I'm scared. Yeah, but I'm excited too. I think it's an opportunity. I think one thing for me was also friends. You know, I think a lot about how made all these friends at university, but unfortunately, you sort of have to ask yourself how many of those friends are just university friends.
Yeah, we'll all find out.
And how many are friends for life?
That's cold.
It's true though.
Yeah,
it's true, because I mean, I think about, I'm not naming any names, but there are people who I definitely think I'm probably not going to stay in touch. Not because I don't want to. It's just that connection.
Friendship's a natural thing.
Yeah, you can only have so many friends. So yeah, I don't know, what about you, Will?
Yeah, pretty much similar to the last time we spoke about this. It's almost quite overwhelming if you think about it for too long. But I think moving on from university, you've got to just frame it in the positive way, and you've got to think, right, that was a great 3 years, that was a great 4 years, however long you're here for. What's next? I'm excited for what's next. I've got this qualification, I've got all this experience, I've met these great people, I've really pushed myself, I've moved to a new place, I've done a fashion show, I've done all sorts. Where can I go from here? And one great thing about Northumbria, actually, I was thinking about this the other day, is they really do set you up for your life. It's not just about getting you in the door, getting you a degree and sending you on your merry way. It is about setting you up for employment and setting you up to develop these skills that you can take forward and really, really excel with. So I quite think that we're in a pretty good position after this year, sort of going forward, really.
Could you explain that a little bit? Sorry, you just said how Northumbria sets you up for employment. I just want to know what you mean by that.
Well, I think they've got a big push on like graduate futures and stuff. I know that a lot of guys from Newcastle even look at the Northumbria graduate futures page to find like grad roles and things like that.
Yeah. Have you found any success through that? Because I personally haven't really looked at graduate futures much.
I've got a lot of. I've sent off a lot of applications and stuff. I've recently been applying for a lot of stuff down in London, and I think just sort of making you think about that in your third year is the biggest part. In terms of they push you to really consider, right, what's happening next. Don't get comfortable in like, right, just you know your D dissertation, then everything will be fine. It's like, you know, you need to think about where you're going after this, and that has been something that I've been very conscious of all year, which I thank the university for really. And as I say, I think they've set us up quite nicely by making us think about that.
So what are your plans for afterwards? Are you going straight into a master's, or are you just going to work? What are you looking at?
At the minute, obviously there's a lot of things up in the air, but I'm hopefully going to get into work. I've been applying for, as I say, a lot of roles down in London, working for like the RFU or things like that. I'd be really, really interested in. So hopefully that. Yeah.
Cool.
Brilliant. Well, boys, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Dan.
First ever podcast with two guests. That's been
Thank you,
Lukas
good.
and Will, Making It Moments. Thanks for watching this. Take it easy. Cheers, lads.